Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Welcome to Spike and Spike, featuring special guest Catpuuuuuuuu because nobody else cares about me anymore.
Oof. Hate to see it.
It really is unfortunate. Anyway, we are 2 weeks into Tag Pro this season in the novice leagues, and we will start by recapping last week's scores.
Can we do a real brief recap here? Not a
Yeah, we'll go
sweet.
through some quick talking points and then yeah. So we'll start with LBT versus Nip Station. A good close split. Nips controlled Neon pretty well, but struggled on Pine. And overall, good week for both teams. I think LBT has some things to work on, but good close game.
Agreed.
Then we had the matchup that we're both a little more familiar with, the Pinkfield Isotopes versus Bank of America Apps. First game was a pretty solid dub for BOA, though it was definitely close at times. And then on Neon, you were just a pest and kept your team in it, and then you guys managed to throw together a good run to force overtime.
Yeah, it was fun. Very well fought games. Sonder is very good.
Sonder is really good, and Breezy's working out pretty nicely himself.
Yeah.
Um, LST versus the Krusty Grabs. We had another split. LST taking their win in overtime. Krusty Grabs getting a pretty solid win the next game. I think, again, LST has a lot of potential. They're still working out some of their kinks. Krusty Grabs seems to finally be hitting their form a little bit better, and hopefully they keep that up.
I am glad LST got a game.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about that.
Um, Dolphins versus Bohemian Capsty. They were the two undefeated top of the league teams going in. We had two matchups of undefeated teams actually, but these two had the biggest captives, and Miami showed up really strong in game one, taking it 10-3. But game two was close. BCC, don't count them out for sure. They're still decent, other than active. Uh,
Huh.
but but yeah, they look pretty good. But Miami has solidified their place at the top of the league for now.
Yeah, I think that is the appropriate place to put them.
Yeah. So then Super Monkey Balls versus We the People. We the People looks kind of grim right now. Super Monkey Balls taking both games by 6+ caps. And yeah, Monkey Balls looks good, but We the People just kind of grim right now. Hopefully they can turn it around. I'd love to see them do it, but it didn't look pretty.
Yeah, We the People is a little on the struggle bus. They need a good miners drop, maybe.
Yeah, I know one of their players was talking to me in the general chat and was like, "Why all the hate?" And I was like, "I'll stop hating when you win some
You
games."
when you compete in the game,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been on the other side of that. I had to hate on my own team all of last year, but yeah,
I trust me, Small. I have been on that side too.
yeah. All right, so then to finish up A team, we had the question marks versus the handoff god, and the question marks managed to pull out some tight games. First game, they won 8-5, fending off a comeback in half two after a 5-0 lead. Second game was a little bit closer. They managed to stage a comeback of their own, successfully pulled off. Both pretty solid teams. I think the question marks were happy to finally uh, face a team that they could get wins off of, and they pulled off the sweep.
Yeah, I uh, I think both of those teams remind me a lot of my team, where like we're kind of boring most of the time, and like streaks of goodness that keep you in or win games, but for the most part, it's just kind of clean tag pro, boring tag pro.
Yeah, it does seem like, especially question marks, I think they're mostly a good, solid, strong team, and then you've got Bold Roller as kind of like the spark there, and when he's hitting, he's
Yeah.
doing really well. But yeah, both good
Uh,
teams.
Smalley,
Yeah.
now that we've recapped the week, which give me your four teams that don't make playoffs, and then give me a team in the top six that will not make playoffs.
So 4 teams that don't make playoffs.
Yep.
and including one in the top 6.
No. And then an additional
An
like
additional team that might not in
dark
top 6.
horse fall. Yeah.
I mean, Weed the People is my first choice for obvious reasons at this point. Again, love to see them turn it around, but based on what we've seen so far, they're not looking like a playoff team. I think LBT, there's nothing like in particular wrong with them, but it seems a lot like last season where they just can't
They
put it.
seem off. I
Yeah,
agree.
they just can't put it together. There's nothing wrong with any of the players individually, but they can't put it together. Um, I think. I think LST has the potential to turn it around. So I'm gonna have them as my dark horse team to turn it around.
To make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna put Manipulation Station in their place. Obviously, they're a good team, but they have struggled a little bit, and I'm not sure who exactly would fall below them. Again, I think it's going to be a lot of good competitive games outside of the bottom one, maybe 2 teams this season. So that's good, but I think maybe the Nips drop. I'm sure Dusk will let me never hear the end of that after they win their Nooper again. But for now, that's what I'm going to say. And then we'll do the Handoff God, the other team at the bottom right now is the other choice. Again, I think they have the potential, but they haven't been hidden. And then if I had to pick a team in the top 6, I'm gonna get all my friends mad at me. I'm gonna say that the Krusty Grabs would be the team that would drop. No offense to Flaccid, but of the teams in the top 6, they seem like the weakest of that group. I do think they'll make playoffs, but if one of those teams doesn't, they're my pick.
You ready for mine?
Sure.
Time to go make everyone angry before I play against them. I think We the People don't make playoffs. I think the bottom 3 teams are the bottom 3 teams. So I think LBT, Legend of the Split Temple, and We the People all miss playoffs. And I think their location on the standings will be about the same. Split Temple might be slightly better than LBT, but I think those 3 locations are correct. And then I'm going to give it to Manipulation Station as the final team that doesn't make it. But my dark horse is going to be Super Monkey Balls. I think they've had 2 fairly easy weeks to start it off, and that's why they're at 3, not 8 or 9 where they should be.
They are one of the 2 teams that played Feed the People, which helps at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then we do have some B team games. Because I'm a B teamer, so I still care about B team.
Yeah, this is all about you now, buddy. I'll just ask questions.
So we had the Question Marks versus Handoff God B team after my team took a nice 2-1 match off of the Question Marks. They came back in force and had a pretty solid sweep of Handoff God. The first 2 games, 11-5 and 10-5. Last game, 8-5. It was a pretty solid win all around, and they looked pretty good. Handoff God and he needs to work on a couple things there. Then you had Super Monkey Balls versus Weed the People on B team. The Monkey Balls swept on B team as well, leaving Weed the People with 0 total points between A and B. That's kind of grim. Their B team did look good at points. They tied 2 halves. I think that they will probably pick up some points on the season. But it's
hard to not pick up points on B team.
Even
there's
do the
so many
YRB
points
last season got some points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for them, if they've scrimmed together a little bit more, then they'll be good. I also think the Monkey Balls B team does look like a pretty solid team. I think that Atomic Storm is kind of underrated. I think Jed Bartlett is coming into his own, and Spheroid's good.
Noted defender Jed Bartlett.
Yeah,
I like that guy.
So I think this team could definitely compete, and I think We the People will be able to turn it around at least a little bit. We had the Dolphins versus BCC. Had a close win for BCC, overtime game 1. then utter domination by BCC in game two, and then a pretty solid win for Miami on game three. It really just seemed like Miami. I mean, it doesn't seem like they had a terrible lineup in for game two. They do have noted Aussie iTag in, but I don't think like he's played decent when my team has scrimmed against him. So I don't think that explains it. I think they didn't do the map well, and BCC did, and that is how you will end up with a 17-4 half. I think BCC is, as usual, a very strong B team. Miami looks like a pretty solid B team as well, but BCC was stronger this week. Then we got Legends of the Splitting Temple versus the Krusty Grabs. LST taking the sweep. I mean, I had my doubts about Krusty Grabs going into the season. They've got a lot of inexperienced players. I think there's potential there. They need to start putting it together soon now. 2-3 weeks into the season, you need to start at least pulling off some points in your matchups. And if they can do that, if they can start showing up, then they'll be good. But if not, then it's going to be a tough season.
Molly,
Yeah.
do you think Griff and Flaccid Trip is the correct combination to be leading the B team with all new people? And I don't mean that in terms of like they're toxic or anything. I mean that in terms of like, are they going to put in the time for a B team? A B team like that.
I mean, it's hard to tell. I know Flaccid was at least excited at the beginning of the season to do that. I think he'll be if he can avoid getting frustrated by them. He'll be a pretty good coach.
Incredibly hard to coach a B team while also trying to play A team.
It is.
Like that would be my worry about Flaccid Trip is like he needs to be coaching his A team as well. And you can't really do both without a lot of help. And I don't know if Griff is as committed to it as Flaccid Trip is.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Griff is there, which she has been a bit at least, that she'll be a decent coach.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if they don't get coached up, they will at least look really cool in their games.
Dude, that texture pack is fire. Yeah. I love everything about it.
That is by far the best stream this season.
Yeah.
So then we had the Pinkfield Isotopes versus Bank of America Apps. The rare 7-point sweep with 2 games going into overtime. And boy, Slob said that she had a heart attack almost. So, I mean, if you're giving teenagers heart attacks, then that's, it's tense. Really close games. I think both these teams are good.
Really
fun. Last game was also pretty close until pretty close to the end.
It felt a lot like the A-team game on Pine, where like it was 1 or 2 caps most of the game, and then with 2 minutes left, it got out of hand because the Isotopes were trying to pull it back.
It's always a risk when you try to play catch up. You can always end up just giving up a cap, and then it falls off the rails completely.
Yeah.
That said, I think Isotopes definitely look good despite getting swept. It's always tough to get swept when you play that well, but it happens.
Yeah, just a few mistakes too many, especially in the overtime games. Maybe a few too many bombs into spikes. But you didn't hear that from me.
No, pulling a Catpuuuuuuuu definitely couldn't cause issues. I can't imagine that spiking would be a problem.
Nah, it's NBD.
And then finally, LBT versus Manipulation Station B team. LBT, despite their struggles on A team thus far, did look pretty solid on B team, getting a sweep. 1 game in overtime. None of the games were runaways, but they managed to keep the lead for most of the night, and that's what they were looking to do. So
now, Smalley, I have 2 questions about B teams.
Yeah.
Would you take Super Monkey Ball's B team against We the People's A team?
Let me look at that roster. So that would be Blackberry, Idspire, Atomic Storm, Jed Bartlett, and Spheroid. Are we forcing a rotation on this, or are we just taking Super Monkey Ball's
No, top four.
top four?
Yeah, I'm saying you make them an A team and put them in
Yeah, and then just
We the
play.
People
So
spot.
you just play those top four again. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like they could have a decent matchup, but I do think that like the level of success that Randy and FU have had on B team as compared to A team, and like Drift has been playing solidly. I think I still take a Weed the People there, but I do think it would be a lot closer than Weed the People would like it to be.
I agree with your assessment entirely. The issue with B teams is never the top three players.
Yeah.
My second question: has everyone taken my advice yet that the third game is the most important and play your best lineup there?
I don't know that everybody has. It seems like a couple teams are still doing that. I know my team is just kind of rotating through, which is nice to have a B team where everybody's strong enough that you can play everybody throughout the whole night.
Yeah,
And there are a couple other teams doing that, which is good to see. It looks like the Dolphins took your advice, and they won Game 3 with a solid 6-2 win on Pine, but lost the other two.
yeah. How long before C team as a member of the CRC?
I mean, that one's going to depend more on the signups season by
I
season. Like if we
I
get,
actually think we're through it. I think we're through the C team push, and it didn't happen. I don't think it ever will.
I think for C team to happen, there would either need to be a massive influx of signups, like total number of signups, because I think a lot of people would prefer C team to like a 20 team league again. Could be wrong
Yeah,
about that. Um, or a very high percentage of inexperienced players with a slight increase in total signups.
I think in order to see C team, you need to see some variant of the coronavirus that causes everyone to sit in lockdown again for 3 months.
Yeah, either that or a really
Like,
massive out of nowhere push from the Tag Pro Future group that has some killer new
yeah,
features.
something that the two of us would not be able to predict on this podcast.
Yeah, you got to
Other than
port
that, we're through the C team push.
if you port Tag Pro to Steam, then we're
Dude,
golden.
Tag Pro needs to be on the Switch. That's really where it
Oh,
belongs. But
that would be huge.
right? Uh, okay, so who are the four B teams that don't make it?
Um, let me pull up my standings here and take a look. I mean, at the moment, Weed the People again, they're looking rough, and
Yeah.
I don't wish a season like last season for me upon anybody. So I really hope they can pull it together, but it's looking rough. Um, I think Krusty Grabs are gonna improve a bit, but I think they're still gonna just miss. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and actually say that Dusk is able to get Manipulation Station up to a point where they can sneak into playoffs. They've shown improvement. They've gotten just a little bit better week over week. I think that'll continue. I think he's able to coach them into the playoffs. I don't know if it's the traditional NIP success that it has been in the past, but I think they can sneak in. I think Handoff God doesn't make it. Like they're on the border right there, but the team they're tied with is the Isotopes, who just suffered a double OT loss in the sweep that shouldn't have been. So I think they'll be fine. Dolphins looked good and they had a tough matchup. The question marks also have looked good mostly. I think for me, it comes down to LBT. I think could have a drop off there. They've looked solid so far, but I don't know. And then I think I think Super Monkey Balls do make the playoffs probably, but they're definitely not the number one team in the league. I think they're more of a like a on the line between playoffs and not playoffs team that just had a 9 points handed to them on a platter last week.
Yeah. So to recap, the four that you think won't make it are
Weed the People, Krusty Krabs, Handoff God, and LBT.
interesting. So then pick one of the top six as well.
Well, LBT is
Just
top
to cause
six.
some. Oh,
So
they
I
aren't
had
on tag
I
Philly.
oh, that's because the overtime is weird and we haven't gotten to fixing that yet.
Gotcha. Cool. Uh, let's talk about Tag Pro Luck.
About what?
Tag Pro Luck.
Tag Pro Look?
Luck.
Luck. Oh yeah, that's an important thing.
Do
There,
you think we see any changes in the future of the league regarding power ups?
I mean, I think if enough people feel like it's an issue with the end of season surveys and stuff, and the tools are made available, which it looks like there is potential for that with ELTP's brief flirtation with a different pup scheme, you could.
Well, I mean, TPM already does only neutral flags, and in neutral flag they only have juke juices and roaming bangs. So there's definitely the tools available to
Yeah,
alter pups pretty wildly.
yeah. I mean, my personal feelings are
Oh, that's all
I
I care about,
I
is feeling you personally.
I don't want to get rid of tag pros. But I would be open to options to either
What
mitigate
about the
them
like
or.
rotating minutes where it's like, the 9 minute pup round is always rolling bombs. The 8 minute is always juke juice. The 7 minutes tag pro, and then you just keep that cycle.
I think it would be interesting to experiment with. I don't like the idea of having it always, like every single minute planned out. But if it was like most of them are random, but you know that 2 minute is going to be tag pros, 5 minutes is going to be rolling bombs, and 7 minutes is going to be juke juices or something. I'd be open to at least discussing those ideas, but I
What
don't want
about the
to.
removal of power ups entirely?
I mean, you could just remake maps without power ups and see how it goes. I think to me, I think if we're gonna look at the removal of power ups, that seems more like an MLTP thing, where it's like these are something that makes it a little bit less pure skill, so it upsets the competitive balance slightly. So let's get rid of it. Whereas in
You finally hit the
NLTP,
talking point I wanted to get to. Thank you.
yeah, in NLTP, pups are fun sometimes, especially on B team. So I definitely don't want to get rid of them.
I think people who complain about pubs are whiny people who feel like they need control over everything in their lives. Whereas if you just get the pups, you have control over it. Like, we
Yeah,
need to keep pups around because it makes the game enjoyable. It isn't a grind fest to see who can get the best rub grab out, or who, it just makes the game have that little bit of randomness where a team that isn't quite as skillful might have a chance.
yeah,
And without that, there's no reason to play the game.
and that's why I think like especially for NLTP, it's like occasionally the better team will get completely pup scammed, but
Which is
at
good. You want
yeah,
that.
at the end of the day, who cares? It's all about the fun. Um,
You want that in a community based game
and
that,
yeah, and like I
like,
said, as
yeah,
an MLTP jam, I'm not opposed to talking about the the potential for reducing or altering pups in a way that makes it less exciting and more skill based. Because if that's what the players at that level want, then sure. But for NLTP, I just don't think that's the move.
I could never care about what MLTP does. Majors, minors can do whatever they want until it impacts my life.
Yeah, I was
Then
gonna
I get
say you
angry.
heard it first here, ASAP. Call him out.
I am a DEP for him. You hate to hear it.
I thought about
Uh,
taking you as my second DEP, but then ASAP took you as his first. So
um, Smalley, are there any other like drama things that you want to discuss? Any other topics of the game?
um, not really.
All right, you want to do some trivia?
Sure.
Okay, what player has the most neutral or kept flags of all time in competitive tag pro?
I should know this because everybody involved in that has been talking about it recently. This is across all of the competitive leagues.
Across all the competitive leagues, all time.
I know. I know. I think ASAP's up there, which makes sense because always be grabbing. I think.
ABG.
I think BBB is up there. I want to say I saw Breezy up there, but that might have just been on B team.
I'm gonna need you to lock in an answer.
I'm gonna go with ASAP.
It's Breezes, your
Of course,
captain.
I saw that and I just for some reason I thought it was B team only. Oh well.
You brought up two players who, in season 10, were my offense for B team, and they tried to get a kept flag against I Am Zeus's team and gave up a game tying cap that kept us out of playoffs because they went for the kept flag. So it is forever burned in my mind that Breezes has the most. Uh, who has the most kept flags this season on A team?
Um, Gosh darn, I was just looking at B team like right before the podcast, but I didn't look at A team.
We can do both.
Um, I mean,
Bonus points if you can tell me how many they have.
I know it's nobody on my team. Uh, I'm gonna go with your former podcasting partner Rig because I feel like he usually is up there on kept flags, despite playing defense a lot.
Rick, interesting. He does have two, but he is not the correct answer. Overkill is the correct answer.
That makes sense. Overkill has shown to be a competent offender who cares about getting kept flags.
How many does he have?
Overkill.
Yeah,
If Rig has two and that was close, let's double it and go four.
that is correct.
Hey.
Okay, B teamer.
Sorry, what was that?
What?
Did you say B team?
Yeah, B team most kept flags this season.
That is my good friend Jelly Rat.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I saw that he was on your team, I kind of knew I was in trouble.
Yeah.
How many does he have?
He also has four.
He does have four. Smalley, what are your thoughts on KD? Does it matter?
Not inherently. Like, I think you can be a bad player with a good KD or a good player with a bad KD in either position. But I think you could probably do some magic pigeon stuff and look at KD in its relationship to other things and find some strong correlations if you felt like you had the time to do that.
I think you beat around the bush to say yes. Yes, it does matter. It matters considerably less for offenders. If you do a grab adjusted KD, that is the number that really matters. But if you're not alive, you can't play the game. So if every time you die, you get 3 seconds, that's,
Well,
5% of a minute or whatever, that you're not allowed to play.
yeah. Well, and that's one of the things where like it matters, especially like you said, the grab adjusted KD, because without that, you've got people like ASAP who just grabs a heck of a
Yeah,
lot, so he's gonna have a bad KD sometimes.
all the time,
But
not
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, but like I think it
Uh,
matters, but it can be overemphasized.
yeah. Okay, do you know where this question is going now?
No.
Who has the most NDPs on a team? A stat very near and dear to my heart.
Yes, of course. I feel like it can't be you.
No, I never NDP. I just DP all the time.
There. Um, were they? So it's probably gonna be a defender because
It almost always is a
yeah,
defender. That is a good assessment.
it's probably gonna be a defender on a team that has been struggling.
Also a good assessment.
Um, gonna hmm. I'm gonna say Carl with a K.
No, it is Chucky, aka Wexler.
Ah, that makes sense.
He has 49. Carl with AK has 37.
Oh, that was pretty close at least.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to scroll down.
That's something.
Do you want to attempt that same for B team?
Sure. I think I have a guess here because it is a. I think it's gonna be Hibana because I played with them on TPM a bunch, and that is something that they struggle with a little bit due to the game sense aspect of popping without dropping. So,
You got it correct. It is
man,
Hibana.
I know my B
Uh,
team stats.
I wonder if that's because, like, coming from Egg Ball, there's so much less emphasis on, like, exactly where your ball is, but more in Egg Ball, it's like where you can get to.
Yeah, well, like because there aren't map elements in Egg
There, yeah,
Ball.
right. Yeah, and it's covering areas, not covering
Yeah,
lanes in the same way.
yeah.
Um, Shout out to Perpetualist, who I think is Little Chucky in my mind, who has 42 and is right behind Hibana at 43.
Oh, nice.
All right, one final stat question.
What you got?
Who has the highest pup percent for each league?
Okay. I was looking at this after the games last week, but I was mostly focusing on my team. So, like, I know Breezy and Macon both have good putt percentages, but I also know that they're not at the top.
It
Um,
appears you've studied the board a little.
yeah. The issue is I wasn't really looking at anybody else.
Yeah.
I think Rick G was up there, so I'm gonna go with him.
Rick G is second this week behind Anthony Davis. Good effort. Good effort. And B team?
B team, I'm pretty sure is Burton Bort because
Yeah.
he takes every opportunity to tell me when he's good and I'm bad.
All right. On that note, I'm going to play one more game. We did putt percent, NDPs, and kept flags.
Yeah.
Okay, this game is you or me. Who has the better?
All right.
So let me pull that up. Uh, Man, Amy, if you could just take this out. Got him.
I've even completely given up on editing at this point. It's,
uh,
like I went live because one, the the bot is dead that records.
Yeah,
But
Craig.
also, this is easier. And I got frustrated with putting multiple hours into editing each week.
All right, Smalley, you or me? Who has more kept flags?
Well, that there is a good question.
Is it?
I think it's you, because I don't think I've had one this season.
That is correct. I have one and you have zero. Cool. Uh, NDPs. Have you played a full 80 minutes? Do I have to normalize?
I am at 47 minutes.
Okay, so we'll just double yours.
That works.
Ish. If I have to go to Alexa, I have to go to Alexa.
I'm going to guess me, since I've been playing mostly defense.
You would be correct, but not by as much as you'd think. Apparently, I die a lot on spikes still. You have 18 and I have 26. So after the adjustment, but not by much.
Yeah.
All right. Putt percent. You or me?
That's got to be you. Mine is like better than it historically has been, but it's still not good.
I don't know, Smalley. I always just rush to grab when pops come up. I try to get tag prof positioning. It is you
Ah. I mean, I
by
guess
1%.
nice.
I'm at 9.26 and you're at 10.19. KD we could do, but like we both know the answer to this.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Nope.
Um,
If I'd been on offense, it could have been an interesting question.
yeah. Well then, Smalley, I have nothing else.
I have.
I feel like I feel like that was very much at the end of a Zoom meeting sign off for me.
I have.
But if you have something, I can go.
I mean, I do have a random historical fact, but I think I'm gonna save it for next week because it would be a fun trivia.
Okay.
But I want it to be a trivia for Active and Ghost specifically. So we'll pull that for next week.
Nice
Everybody
teaser.
Tune in next week, and you'll find a random historical trivia.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We've got 2 viewers right now who are probably already.
Neither of them are me.
They're probably already subscribed because otherwise, how would they have found out that I'm streaming?
Make sure to smash that follow button.
You know what's great? Despite having just wasted a bunch of time on trivia and stuff, we're still under 40 minutes right now.
Yeah, that's because I didn't let you do the thing you usually do, where you just in-depth games. Because I find that boring.
One, I in-depth games, and two, Active then meanderingly in-depth does the games and repeats himself.
True. I'm a fan of concision. That's probably not a word. Being concise.
Concision could be a word.
You know what? Let's bald. Where's bald when I need him?
I searched concision, and it appears to be a French word.
Nouns. Synonyms: concision and concisionness.
Conciseness.
Yeah, that is what it says. Is concision is valued highly expressionarily in English
what
writing.
we didn't do that we should do real quick? We got to run through and do predictions.
Oh, true.
Doesn't have to be in-depth stuff, but
Yeah.
throw some names out there.
At least make it an Excel sheet,
Yeah, all right. So, week 3, first matchup, LBT versus Super Monkey Balls. We'll do A team first, and then we'll go back through with B.
Okay. A team split.
A team, I'm gonna say Monkey Balls.
Sweet.
Yeah, Monkey Balls sweep. So then,
I actually agree with you, but my decision to say Monkey Balls was going to miss the playoffs made me pick a split.
fair. So then we've got your team, the Isotopes versus Question Marks. My team has played both of you. You both seem pretty good. I'm gonna say a split.
I'm gonna go with We Sweet because
Well,
why
yeah,
not?
of course. I mean, you are gonna sphere ball him, so there's that.
Hell yeah.
Um, the Dolphins versus We the People. Really tight matchup.
Dolphin
It's going to
sweep.
be really close, but I think the Dolphins can pull off a sweep here.
Well, you know what? Let's do an over under on that one instead. Plus 12 total captive.
Total?
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing with that is that if we go to the A-team standings, the Dolphins have been averaging plus 13.
Oof. Good point. Okay. Plus 16, plus 18, plus 18.
Plus 18 on the week. And I'm going to take the over on that still, unless they decide to hold back to spite me.
I'll take the under.
I mean, I again,
Because I don't want to wish plus 18 on
I
anyone.
I don't
I
want
can't.
to.
I can't find myself
I
doing
would
it.
and I would absolutely love for We the People to just like Herb comes back in
Yeah.
superb form and they manage to take the win, but
Maybe they should try spear balling them.
true.
Too late. What's the next game?
LST versus Handoff God. I think it's going to be a split.
Uh, a 4-2 split for handoff cards.
Yeah, LST is just going to keep getting 4-2 splitted.
Yeah.
I mean, they could make playoffs that way theoretically.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Manipulation Station versus Bohemian Capsody. I got to take BCC sweep here.
I like how evenly matched these two teams are in the standings. Like it looks very nice how they're sitting. But I agree, BCC sweep.
Yeah. And then we've got the Bank of Americaps versus the Krusty Grabs. And I think BOA sweep, but I think the Krusty Grabs make us work for it.
I will give the Saunders sweep.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a thing where I feel like we're just a little bit better on both sides.
Yeah, agreed.
So then B team, Bank of Americaps versus Krusty Grabs. Same thing for me. I think they put in a valiant effort, but I think we get a sweep.
I'll go 2-1 BOA.
That's fair. BCC versus Nip B. I think BCC 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
LST versus the Handoff God. I'm gonna take LST 2 out of 3.
I'll take a sweep for LST.
Ooh. Dolphins versus We the People. If it's anything like last week for these teams, I think Dolphins come back with a vengeance after having a tough week, and We the People remain winless through 3. But maybe with some bright futures ahead for them.
Dolphin sweep.
Yeah. Isotopes versus the Question Marks. This one is going to be a really good matchup. Probably my matchup of the week, having played both these teams. Again, they're both good. We had good close games with both of them. But I'm going to give the very slight edge to Question Marks, and I'm going to call a 5-4 split for Question Marks.
That's exactly what I was going to call. Gosh darn it. Actually, yeah, 5-4. I'll stick with it.
You could take some team pride and call it 5-4 for your team instead.
Oh, my team doesn't win overtime.
What would give you that impression?
The 3 they lost in a row.
Oh, there is that, I guess. Then Super Monkey Balls versus Land Before Timers. I'm going to say 2 out of 3 for Super Monkey Balls.
I'm going to say a 7-2 Super Monkey Balls.
And you've called like 4 overtimes.
That's not that many.
I'm guessing those OTs are going to come
Smalley.
on. Yeah.
Smalley.
Yeah.
How many times the juke juice is going to spawn in overtime, huh?
That's a good question. My guess would be it won't happen to the same teams that it happened to last week, but it will happen unless they fixed it on the what it defaults to.
I think they fixed the default setting,
If they did that,
but
then it won't happen. But if they didn't fix
yeah,
the default setting, then it will happen. Just not to the
yeah,
same people. Any
that was
captains out
funny.
there, make sure you double check your OT settings.
I like the one OT game that had 3 different attempts at playing overtime.
Yeah, but the same
That was
result all
good.
3 times,
Yeah,
which is good because otherwise it would have been very frustrating. Yeah, conveniently, it wasn't like a team is about to cap and that juke juice could have made a difference, but maybe not in any of the situations. It was all, yeah, we noticed that and it didn't make it a direct impact on the game.
yeah. In our game, I made sure to call back to group as soon as I saw the juke juices spawn, and
Yep.
then get a return before we started leaving.
Yeah.
So there were really no questions.
Yeah,
Um,
because I think like Zeus got a grab like right after that, but it was like okay, he still has to go across the whole field. That's clearly not
oh
that
yeah,
much of an
yeah.
advantage.
I called back to group, got the return, he got a grab, and then
Yep.
I started explaining why I wanted to go back to group, which I should have
Yep.
just left. But
I mean, it was fine. I
yeah,
uh,
it worked out.
we had CRC members present watching the stream, so
Yep. Yep. Uh, anything else?
I think
Should we
that's
do
it.
anything?
Unless since you're here,
Do
if
you
you
want
want
to?
to call some awards picks very early on.
No, I don't.
Okay,
After two
that's
weeks.
fair.
Uh, do we want to thank some people?
Uh, sure. I'd like to thank
I'll,
Hell Yeah and Cooler for carrying me on defense.
I'll thank Ralph for having way too much confidence in me and spending all of his tag coins. I'll thank ASAP for teaching me to grab. And I will thank Bald Eagle most of all for being there for me always and making bacon for the same thing, even though he beat us. Love you
Nice.
all.
I
Oh, wait, Smalley, I have a fun game.
oh boy.
Okay, so last Sunday was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Who would you consider your tag pro mother?
Ooh. That is a tough one. I feel like my tag pro extended family is very rich. Like got lots of uncles, aunts, cousins, etc. But like I don't know, I feel like I was an orphan who was raised by like multiple aunts and uncles and just like thrown around haphazardly for a while.
I feel like that's an accurate statement, but I'm still forcing you to pick. It's Sunday afternoon, and you have to go to somebody's house. You have all these invites. Who's you going to?
Hmm. I mean, clearly I got to go with my first ever captain, Business Bird, and not any
Oh
of the
my
people who
god!
actually impacted my playstyle or anything.
You're going to business birds. Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the
Is
actual
that
parent.
Pursuit of Happiness or?
No, it was an NFTL season 3. I don't even
Oh my
remember what team it
goodness.
was. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Business Bird because he started there. He was there at the beginning. But much like for actual orphans, he was not there for anything after that. Um, Largely due to the multi-year gap in between my first season and second season playing Tag Pro competitively. But yeah,
Nice.
who would
I would
your
go. I would. I was gonna go with Ashwin Gashma, who was my first captain, for the exact same reason you did, but because you took that, I'm gonna go with Butt Snake.
nice?
I will go to Butt Snake's house because he has beer.
I mean, realistically, I would just go to a disc golf course, but with a really fancy new 5G hotspot so I can play Tag Pro while I'm playing disc golf.
Ooh, maybe a nice Calvin Heimberg destroyer. Oh.
I found out the other day I can play Tag Pro on my phone if I hook up a keyboard to it. And for like $10, I could buy a little like a little Bluetooth keypad that
Damn.
just has like the arrow keys and some
Can you
numbers.
imagine how tilted everyone in a pub would be with
I
how like unable to control your ball you'd be on a 5G connection?
I mean, I have I can imagine how tilted they'd be. I can imagine how much more tilted they'd be if I was playing from a literal airplane.
I have heard those stories of playing from a literal airplane.
Yeah, that one was rough, especially because I was playing on my phone without a physical keyboard. So like I downloaded an extra keyboard that allows me to pop it up from a notification on my phone. But it
Wow.
doesn't support if you like hold down the arrow key. It doesn't keep
So
the
you
arrow
have to
key
keep
down, so you
tapping
have
the
to
arrow
keep
key.
tapping it. It actually
Tappa tappa
it
tappa.
automatically keeps tapping it for you really really fast, but it won't just hold down, so you're like
Oh
speed
my
limited.
gosh.
So that was rough. When I played,
Or at least like it takes you like I don't know 16 constrictions next to each other to get up to full speed after all the little clicks.
yeah. Um, but when I played on my phone I was on 4G LTE, but with a keyboard hooked up to it just upstairs in my house, that actually worked pretty well. I won the first pub and lost the second pub, but I didn't feel like I was the difference maker in either of those games. Interestingly enough, the first game I had the viewport scaling off, so I could barely see anything, but I just went offense all the time, and it worked out okay. The
Nice.
second one, I turned viewport scaling off and played defense, and it was a little bit more of a struggle, especially on slightly unstable ping, but it managed okay.
Wow. The more you know.
Yeah, I enjoy weird tag pro scenarios that
Dude,
I can
I'm
play in.
telling you, getting it on the Switch would be awesome.
That would be really cool. I have played on a tablet as well. That was an interesting thing. We actually won that game too.
Nice.
I mean, I had Drinkles and Skippy on my team on B team against
Uh,
probably. I think that might have been
I was
against.
on that team.
Yeah, that was against your and Balt's team. I was like, I have to play one of my good players in this game because I only have three bad players. Who do you want me to play?
Well,
But yeah. All right.
all right. Well, as they say on the telephone, bye, how are you?
Bye. How are you?